what it is. Just say it. Well, I'll say it, yeah. It's Ayin Teves Toshin Samates Ayin Beis Chelik Aleph Diva Maschil Lech Lecha. Wait a minute. Yeah, Diva Maschil Lech Lecha, no? Yeah, Ahmed Tov Mem Zayin. So we saw the word Akoyach is Malubish and a clean, and the Kale is Magville, the scholars, the Koyachas, then the Koyachas Elyonim Mia Kliazeh are only poil in the spastas. That's to say, where there are also kalim which are or koyches pnimium. So then koyach elyon is only able to be poil in the haora, which is miskala michutz lekli. But it's not poil habitul in the etzem hamahus of that koyach. And we said, "V'hainu mipnei she'akoyches nitfosim b'imkeimon ba'kelim shelahem, ve'einam yotzim chutz limkeimon rach ha'orale v'ad. Al kein einam poelim rach b'ispashtus ha'koyches chiteinim lo yishinui be'etzem mahusam." It is al derech v'dine van ein chovush mates atzmim Beis asurim. Since the koyach alien, or the koyach on which we're done, he himself is a koyach pnima, therefore is malubish in a kli, is it's well known. What is meir mi chutz l'kli is alidei chitzenis akli, and that chitzenis akli is mile mamasti on the etzem oyer koyach. Remember, only haor is meir mi chutz l'chitzenis akelim. It's a klal yudur. So, if we're talking about interaction from one koyach to the other, then it can't be poel anything more than a ha'ora mi'atzmei onto a ha'ora from the koyach on which it's poel. So therefore, the resultant shinui in the makabel is only a shinui in the spashtas of not in etzem hamahuz. And we brought for an interesting example that when I mentions Torud b'im kaseichel, or I feel in Amida, he's Torud in a Israkshus or Regish Godel v'Moish Zman, then we see that the Klei ha'ikul become somewhat standstill, that the Klei ha'ikul are not poil mitzad the Godel ha'tilde there is in the Inyan ha'seichel. It's not the type that he's only monea the pe'ula shelehem v'derech ha'rogil. Or he's not poil that they would do something else altogether, or that they would be mamish mishtanele inyan acher, only in what you might call the spashtas and the koyches hamoichin, which are koyches which at that particular moment are shoilet. Then they cause in only the spashtas of that particular koyach, but not a shino in the etzem hamahus. However, we saw that the union of koyach harotz, I think that's where we were holding, or maybe I'm not right, but I think that's where we were holding. Yeah. Ach, we said koyach harotzen, hari poyu b'chol ha'evorim gam heifek tivo. When it comes to the gilia of the union harotzen, even though we call rotzen also a koyach, it's also a galus musuyemes from the nefesh. However, being as it's mavur v'habi makimis natiyas ha'etzem, the inyan from rotzen, is the etzem, how it itself becomes a koyach. In other words, how the etzem is noiter lifoil sof kol sof in inyanim musuyomim, because the inyan harotzen is the hatoyer towards the etzem what you might call Teves or Ayin, and sof kol sof, it's poil even in the chitanius inyonim almanas to gain the chayfetz that there is in the rotzen. And so there he said that the Ayin and rotzen, being as it is, Ayin from hatoyas ha'etem. In other words, not just a ha'ora, but that's the etzem itself is nimshach of a poil. What is it? The chiddush in the Ayin and rotzen, and for that matter also in the Ayin and tainuk, that they are mamish the etzem, what you might call the gilui ha'etzem, not just a koyach which is nimshach in a kli. And that's a dover yedua, that the rotzen doesn't have any kli. That even though we see that the rotzen is mishkala, but the moyach, or not the taste that the moyach is a kli to the Ayin and rotzen. It's only that certain inyonim in seichel are a form of media, what we might call almost like an Inyan it's like the difference between what do we call it, Islapshus and Ma'avir. That sometimes the moyach is a Ma'avir for the Inyan rotzen. But it's mavur that the Inyan rotzen can be nimshach and nimtza chol evashe. It's a kavanas etzem to be megala dot the rotzen, and it can appear in any eva, but also even that it appears in the moyach. It's not shy to say that the moyach is the kli of the rotzen. Just that sometimes there's a certain kivun or bittul in the rotzen to the Inyan seichel, but not that be'emes the seichel is a kli to the rotzen. And if since rotzen doesn't have any kli, and in Yoni is gilui ha'etzem, therefore it's poil b'chol evorim equally, but it's also poil in them Ayin from heifach tivon. In other words, that it can affect them in such a way that they'll do the opposite of their normal natiyah. And that's the difference. Like the case we just bought, that he doesn't change the etzem natiyah of equal. He just holds it up for a while and is monea the normal speed or the normal development of the Inyan ha'equal. But sochosov, it goes ahead kerogio. In other words, he hasn't been mashana the etzem derech or the etzem what you might call tchuna of that Inyan. Mashenkin in the Inyan harotzen, it can be poel shinui in the tchuna atzmius of that particular eva, if that was the kavanah l'shem ma the rotzen was nimsha. K'moy losu meraglei b'mayim kodim b'yoisa oy b'mayim chamim b'yoisa. Yeah, interesting that he brings to put him in cold water before he brings to put him in hot water. Even that maybe that's even more difficult. Yeah, to put him in mamish mayim kodim b'yoisa. In other words, that the teva of a eva is that it can't take more than a certain temperature, and therefore it would not mitzad atzmei and mitzad tivui harogil, it would never put itself near that type of Inyan. And the rotzen can be poil that it do a thing mamish heipach its own teva. And like they tell about the Inyan from Mayim Kodim, they tell about B'chid Masmit, as I said, that when he was young, how did he get the name Masmit? Not just because he used to learn a bit more than other people, but he used to, at night time, he used to sit. And, night is when the brain makes different things in order to make you sleep. So to keep himself awake, he used to put his feet in cold water. As they tell me, yeah. He used to sit with his feet in a dish of cold water. Yeah, and there was another story that they say he used to hold a fork alongside his forehead. Yeah. Emmers. Well, Shamati Gamze Gamze. Maybe use both of the eights Berega Achas. Well, upon him, we see from that to put the water in cold water. This is a starke Shinui Ateva. But the money that in the Galilim in Rusland, it was quite a business to put your feet in cold water. Most of the year, I would think. Not like over here, it's summer the whole year. being the particular nisyonos and trials with the Jewish people at the moment, that's also one of them. I don't think there's any water left anywhere. It's a pillar that you're able to turn on a tap and still get water. Anyway, he said, "Kavoi losum raglei b'mayim karim oiber mayim chamim b'yoyzer." ובדרך כלל, כל שינוי הטבע לגמרי בעצם מהות הכויכס, אין שום מונע או מעכב על הרצון. The Rebbe says, summing up the whole Indian, you take any shinoi hateva that you want, afil in the very etzem mahus of the koiches, in which the rotzen may address itself, then ain't shum monea or mi'akev ala rotzen. You name it, we can do it. In other words, the rotzen will do whatever you want, and that's what's brought down. One of the milas, legabi din in a rotzen, alefila legabi tainug, the tainug, with all its milas and its makif hagodl, but oinig is only misanig in dvarim she'oinig, la'odam. Mashing in the Indian from rotzen can be poil in yone, which a mamish heipach, kiu ha-natir, what you might call tzodekes from the men's of the Teleklau. It's understandable, and even correct me today that he shouldn't do in Yonim Ke'elev. Afu Pikein Dinim and Rotzen can be poil as old as Yoton. It was, I feel in Dvorim, Lamaila mi Geda Harogi Legamre. I mean, that's put down in the Drushim, that's one of the milas of Rotzen. Like we pointed out, he doesn't really have a kli. Now that's the first time he mentioned here in this couple of sentences the Loshen etem, putting it to the rotzen, because it's well known that that's the chiddush of rotzen. That normally we say that a etem is not nimshach. That's a klau gadol, that a etzem is not nimshach and a etzem is not mischalek. And yet nonetheless we say that the rotzen is a form of amshachas ha'etzem. Albeit it's not mamish amshachas ha'etzem mamish, and therefore we call it only hatoyas ha'etzem. But even the word hatoya has a very strong implication. Hatoya means the proneness or the leaning of the zak k'moshehu. Therefore, the Sachidish Godel, the Indian from Rotzen, and in Emerson, one needs to sort of be, that's why we call it Koyach HaRotzen, because we don't want to say Mamish, the Etzem Kamoisha, who is Nimsha. But L'chera, it's not far from saying that, because if you take the Rotzen HaAtzmi, which is Yechidish HaBenevish, okay, Etzem, L'chera, this is Mamish, a Gilui upon him at the very Etzem. And it's poil b'chol ha'evorim b'shova, as a one-honor. The inif and yechida can be poil, the mensch, we'll do in yonim legamri, l'mayla mikol ta'am b'daz, and l'mayla mikol agbola. So therefore, the kitzas tzorikiyun was b'diuk is the getter of that inyan of the etzem in the rotzen. The Rebbe says it clearly, since he's a etzem, then he's just nimshach b'chol mokeh, even though that Lashon Nimshak, when I get to Etzem, is a little bit Mo'ir Atzumas Lev, was it a Pshat of them, whatever shouldn't be the Pshat as a Yidus. In other words, that the Etzem is Taka Nimshak.
Why can't the Etzem be Nimshak?
Huh?
Why can't the Etzem be Nimshak? Why can't the Etzem be Nimshak?
Because the Etzem is not given to any form of Izgalas, Koshagu. Etzem is what it is. If etzem is mishkale, then only the whole etzem, like it is, just comes begorly. But it's not tried to say that etzem gives off from itself, its own self. It gives off from itself things which are only ha'oras or giluim. But it doesn't give the etzem kamoshu, doesn't go anywhere. And that's a big klau. It's an axiomatic klau. So etzem is loy nimshaf or loy mishkale. Yeah. But yesh l'Yisrael al zeh mitzad the klau gadol chelik min ha'etzem. Yeah, we say that the neshama is a chelik min ha'etzem. Yeah, and we say, was it the famous Lashon dot Rab Sadia Goin was it Shata nogeh b'chelik min ha'etzem ata nogeh b'kulei. Was it a Lashon chelik min ha'etzem? Well, that's easier to do it, because he didn't really mean chelik, he just meant kilo, if you actually, Beis even nogeh el ha'etzem. But when we said the neshamas are chelik min ha'etzem, that's really more interesting. But you want to the pshat that the etzem somehow or another, it gives itself kamoishahu, even though that's sorry here in Takavidas. Yeah. But the etzem itself is not mishpashet, and therefore we call it koyach harotzen. Aber Tzurik leidok is, we say that the rotzen is the etzem. In a way, even more than the tainug. Even though tainug is higher in a way than rotzen, because rotzen is nimshich lamata, bahar b'inyonim. Mashikin tainug doesn't go that way. Tainug is daki nidbak, but niklach in the etzem. Anyway, so he said nimshich b'kol mokim. V'chamoishin is bur liu perek nun alef v'nun. Yeah, and Beis, that's at the beginning of the Hemshah, where the Rebbe is Mavaya, the mile of Rotzen over the Koyches Hapinimium, particularly the Koyach HaChochma. Okay, as who poyo b'chol ha'Ivorim shinui ateva. Pele dikazah. Yeah, mamish, shinui ateva. In other words, that's maybe the inyan that ein l'chodor shoyim et b'fneya harotzen with zamayim ha'chachochem. That nothing can really get it, or you can't tell it, that's just your way of doing things. So don't want to do it, and you won't do it. As it is in, Harbi Lielam Yumed Adam B'Mochim Shalibe Chofetz. But sometimes that's brought as a dogma at the Indian Ataino. Chofetz is from him, Kil Goyvel Alin and Ataino. However, Harbi Bituim, which indicate that the Rotzen can mamish change ganze situations. A mensch can mamish change minakot elakot. V'yesh lema adugma mizeh lamayla beha'eres da'es esfiras da'atzilas. So all of a sudden we get very elevated, and we say that what's a dugma for the kodesh apnimium, for the amshoches, anefesh b'toit kelim, and the dugma mizeh lamayla is atzilas. What atzilas is mamish elakut. Dimi yesh des the ein safe lis pashtusa. Heilige, what sort of is that? There's a cloud that the Esespheres are ain't safe lis pashtusa. And we spoke in the dogma about the oir of the nefesh being mugba alidei kli. But here we say that there's no safe to the spheres. In each individual sphere is ain't safe lis pashtusa. And Lechera was for Rayados, kommt aus that there's no union of Kiyu Hakbola being Magbil to Zach. It's able to be Nimshach ad ein Tzei.
It seems also.
So that was
The whole beginning, we started this mimer trying to understand Orita de Liba. We started this mimer trying to understand Orita de Liba, which described as the Makif of Chaya, which is the menorah, which is in the Kodesh.
The union from the Esses Spheres, they're not Makiv. The Esses Spheres are Davke Pnimi. That's Oiros B'Toich HaKeil. Right?
And that which we said.
So we said wherever Oiros Melubish in a Kli, then the Kli is Magbil, the Oir. It can only be a Pashtus Bilvad, a Ha'ora Bilvad. In other words, it's already Mugbal, the Fiyin in a Kli. So that's what he's bringing now as a dogma from the Esses Spheres Tatzilas. And if he just puts in a lotion which is a little bit mukshil, if he clouds there, we say that the Esses Spheres are ain't safe, lis pashtusa. Each sphere is kilo, ain't software, legilishula. And how are you going to say that you magbil in such a way, it's only kilo adova mugbo, which is nimshik. That's it. So he said, the imi ain't safe, lis pashtusa. Harizeh rapa madregas da atzilas. Avloi babiyah. In other words, we're not just taking Atzilus on its own. We're taking Atzilus as a mashpia to biyah. Everything in Atzilus is ain't safe. The Kelim are also ain't safe. Yeah, and so the Eiris. What we mean by saying that's a dogma that the Kli is Magbil, that it's only a Dova Mugbal alidei the Kli, or that's the Shefer of Atzilus into Biyah. And therefore he said the Kashver ain't safe less Pashtusim is not really Nogeya, because we're not talking about Atzilus itself, We're talking about Atzilus, how it goes over into Biyah. The Elam is Biyah, hein beginnes Pirud. Okay, Mishom Yipored, it's written by the Abba Nahores in Sefer Bereshis. It's written in Mishom Yipored, Nahar Yetzim Eid, Lahashkes is Agon, Mishom Yipored, but that's Maramas of Ela Priya. Beis Kam, Teves Teves. Not only that, that once you get down further into Elam Biyah, then you have also Teves Teves. V'hainu mipnei sha'ayros da'atzilas hein shabo b'chinas midu ugvu v'hein b'chinas tvis v'islapshis b'kelim da'atzilas v'yalkein einu meir ha'oyer b'elam biyah rach ha'orale the enoch hanami in Atzilus itself, you can't very well say that, because every sphere is even an ain't safe l'spashtus. But into Biyah, then it's a very interesting heichacha what the Rebbe bring. The first one he says that they're in from how do you call it, Pirud, that Elam is Biyah in from Pirud. And then he said not only they're Pirud, but there's also in from Teves Teves Torah. In other words, Pirud indicates that that's already not Elikus, it's already a dover, how do you call it, a magische Satzme upon him, Mufrad. Something that lives in, even from Mufrad, is not Elikus, it can't possibly be. It can't be Dov, Mamish in Elikus. Afal Pi, it's written in the words of the Rebbe on several occasions when Mashiach will come, they will not only see how everything is Otel Telekus, but we'll see how everything is Elikus. Gam kein Tzorich hier in Kol HaGdora, so, you know, the Taich, that the Nivra is going to be Mamish Elikus. I mean, if he's a Nivra, then he's not Elikus. If he is a, how is he going to be? We're going to see that really the Nivra is really Elikus. I say, wait, you know, it's Tzorich view is it. Right now I haven't got the clear for that. I mean, yesh levayah, yesh lahamik is it. I'm just saying that until Moshiach comes and we see the emes lamita, not just emes, but we'll see emes lamita, then the nivroim are pure nifrodim. As if they're nifrodim, they're not elikus and they're not atzilas, because atzilas is mamshela elikus. And therefore the Rebbe brings that as a hoichacha that the which is meir from atzilas can't be meir mamish kamoishu in biyah miyachavus in biyah. You already get pirud. As if you got pirud, it can't possibly be manit via ha'ora biyalma mamish. You know, ha'ora so much mukbal that it can give rise to a dova hipuchi, a dova which is mamish heip from atzilas. And then it goes on even further. As you go further down in biyah, you get Teves Teves Vara, you even get a Zamin Haipuk, which is not just Haipuk because it feels itself as a Matthias, but it can be in a Zamin even what Atakya is tut in a Zaven, Kilu Neged Elikus. It's Kilu Mamish Menaged to Elikus. So that's Inu Vara. If I remember the Inu from Teves Teves Vara, Yesh Lema Adas the Ike from alle Tzores. The Ike von alle Tzores, von alle Inyanim, what happened by the Chedei Tzadas, and it's put down in the Yochet Roveni, and with the Sachen. There's about 30 different very Bilti Utsuyim that happened in the world because of Chedei Tzadas. Medus Nyen, alle Menesot Inyanim and Sachen, Medus Nyen, over der Inyan, that's what's reingemischt, the Tev, I'm sorry, the Ra in the Tev, Azar, that's the worst of all of them. Yeah. Well, is that the world? You know, you see a dog Tev, and then all of a sudden you miss Bain, and you see that Yesh says in other words, wherever you touch and wherever you try to dray yourself, you know, all of a sudden you become shaken by something that you see that, you know, Rabbeinu Shalom with that. That's not, what we hope for, not what we thought. And you meet up with all sorts of inyonim, B'nei Adam and mansion and those, they have a good kavanah, but they really meant themselves a little bit like everything sort of mished zacharayim in inyonim bilti, rutzuyim and inyonim hafuchim, zemizeh. Mamira says the Rebbe, if the Ashpor from Atzilus can touch a feeling to Azamin in it can be a oil which is Machaye, Azazach, and everything should go on. Yeah, they call it business as usual, even though you got Ta'arivas, Teivara, and the earth and Atzilus doesn't say, we're all going back from here, back into Atzilus, is a simon that those Kelim are really makbil the earth of Atzilus. And it's a very interesting Heichach. And he says, because the Eretz Batzil Bob begins midu gvu, by him begins Teves beslapshim bekerim der, says, biyah kein eino meya ha'er b'enam is biyah rach ha'orele. We need to understand that gvu. We just said that the spheres of Atzilas are ain't safe, lis pashtusom. And here we say, no, the Eretz, how they are in Atzilus, kam beprinas midove, Teves, I'm sorry, ein beprinas midu ugvu, ein beprinas Teves, beslapshes bekelim da Atzilus. Et achayv say, if the kelim da Atzilus only beprinas midu ugvu, what are the taitzet? That ain't safe, lis pashtusam, what's the word? Ma Ayin was there. I mean, it has to do here, and maybe it could have just been passed over quickly and we could have gone on. There's a tzorich here. Yesh lema b'kitzur nimratz the beer bezer is a mavua in Habidrushim and Teves that even though we say that there is gvu in Atzilus, and the Alter Rebbe is one on the shit of the Alter Rebbe. There's a famous mime of the Alter Rebbe in Tovku Samates, I think it is. And there the Alter Rebbe says that the Kelim D'Atzilas are Gvu Mamish. They're not just Stam Gvu, but they're Mamish Gvu. Is if they're Mamish Gvu, and that's one of the things that we find in the Pirkei Heicholes state, that we state that the parts of the Tzur Kaima, the Kelim, the Atzilus is Reish Lamed Vov Parsois. It's a Pergadikalosh. The government, the Kelim, the Atzilus. So I mean, Reish Lamed Vov Elef Parsois, Reish Lamed Vov Elef Parsois, West Pink 3-4 Parsois. I mean, that's like a measurement. This is the Gorab's Pele. So the Alter Rebbe wants to be Mochiach Mizeh, that we have to say that the Kelim D'Atzilas are Mamish Gvu. Is the Mamish Gvu, we pass this with ain't safe lis pashtuson. How do you fit in with that? We get this. How does it go? Because you can't just say it's only mitzad dioiras. We say that the spheres ain't safe lis pashtuson. So we have to sort of, in a way, you might say, dance on two chasanas. Mitzad echon, we have to say that the Eino Chanami, there is mamish gvu in Atzilus, and that the Islavshis, but we have to say that the Gabi Biyah, well, that's only koyach gvu. It's not mamish azah gvu in the even gvu of Biyah, and therefore we have to play on a lotion of relativity, and we have to say that the Eino Chanami is gvu the Gabi Amitius are ain't safe. Over the Gabi Biyah, this is legal. And maybe we could say that Pirush Adova, that the Iker in Atzilus, the Kelim are Magbil in what you might call the Inyan. They're Magbil that if the oil of Chesed and Mishlavish in Kli HaChesed, then that's Chesed ad Ein Seif. Over that Chesed will go Ein Seif, but it's not going to become something else. In other words, it'll be Nimshech ad Ein Seif, over there's only Chesed. And Gvura can be Nimshech ad Ein Seif, possibilities of Gvura, and Inyonic Gvura, and Gilead Gvura, or it's only Gvura. And therefore, in order that you get Teves, you have to have another koyach. What we're going to see in a second here. You have to have another koyach, but that should poil you a bittul b'shneihem, and al yidei you can get another inyan, which is called Teves. But without that koyach, you feel l'mayla mi kol ha'atzilus, you wouldn't get that inyan from Teves, because gevura goes adain. So even chesed goes adain. Say, but ein noch anami, ein ze bo b'tei gvula shel ze ele in the inyan from iskalus. Of iskalus is not the immediate inyan of a new middle, which is called Teves. Even though yesh bezek inyan shel iskalus. But to say that that's the inyan at a ein seiflis pashtuson, but nonetheless it's midu gvul, in the sense that the inyan is what it is and it's never mishtane. That inyan is built in mishtane, that's the kli, and that inyan is a mochi for kli mamish in biyah. Now that's what we say koyach gvul, even though legabi amiti is ein seif, it's already gvul. And therefore, says the Rebbe, whatever, wie soll it sein the pshat, it comes out that the Eure of Atzilus is nimshuk b'bchinas ha'ora, which can give rise even to midah ugvul, kipshuti bees, ayinim tarevis tever, v'ra. V'al kein eino meya ha'oyer b'einam es biyah, rach ha'ora li levat. V'im yesh, shepoil beetle bibiyah, that Eure of Atzilus, wherever it's nimshuk, that brings a beetle into biyah, harihu rak b'bchinas beetle hayesh levat. Or even the Eure of Atzilus, where it's nimshach into biyah, isn't poil ha'emesa bittul hamahus, and only bittul hayesh levad. And that's an interesting in it, that even the Eure of Atzilus is nimshach into biyah. If Rudas wird nishkale also in him from Atzilus, it's poil a bittul, but it's only a bittul it's only a bittul hayesh bill. Vad, isn't it? So, who's it? I mean, Atzilus is Atzilus. It's only nimshach ha'ora, is the maximum, is you get bittul hayesh. But in that kufa, we have to say there can be certain possibilities of go even a bittul. For example, a portan in Gan Eden. What's this Gan Eden? I feel Gan Eden earlier. It is Gilui Atzilus in Olam HaBriyah. Or Gan Eden Stam is Gilui Atzilus in Olam HaYetzirah. And this feel Ahora which comes up in Asiya. The Neshamas that sit in Gan Eden Elyain, they're mamish ne'anin min Ziva Shechina, they're ne'anin min Mahusa Ziv. Yeah? You want to tell me that they only have bittul hayesh bilvad? So the answer is yeah. Legabi amiti is a bittul, that's only bittul hayesh bilvad. Because what are the neshamas that they are in Gadi, particularly terem yeridosam, no matter, there are some beings, don't want to call them nivroim, there are some beings, what they have, a gewaltige chush in Asoge, and in Gilui Asoge, in Midas, noch Asoge, in Yonim. Gan Eden is Hadikot Gan Eden, Hadikot paradise, the ideal world. It may just go higher and higher and higher in your Asoges. So you're not going to hear me, it could become bottle garment in the thing beside your Asoge. Das ist nicht bittul hamahus. So in the just be going on, you've just become a tremendously high representative of what you really represent. You represent a zach which is masik, ayesh, and now you've become in the highest possible way. You got the, how they say in English, the best possible opportunities. Yeah, so you take up, you go up from level to level, how do you call it? Your hallelujah selo. And half of PK and it's called bittul hayesh. How much more so where Atzilus comes mamish in al bosha and Islapshus in the lower beginners. It's all in from bittul hayesh. Pille. Aber he said, Oyer Ein Seif Shelifnei Atzilas, Harei Hamshachosiv is Pashtusei Gam B'Biyah Kamoi B'Atzilas. In other words, Atzilas sits at his slabshus Oyeres B'Kelim, and then those Kelim, no matter what may be their biur, their magbiur, how the oil comes into Biyah. Over the years, in a Maila Mi Atzilas, well, there's no real Kelim Bentayim. The Inifan Kli is not really Ayin Inifan Iskalos, or how do you call it, Mishmashmas of the Kli Mamish. And whether the earth just, as you might say, has its own freedom. The earth has got complete liberty, and the earth is Meir, Lamaila Me'atzilas, and in Biyah, Ba'isa Ha'ifan. Therefore, that's Puyo we're going to see in Yonim in a different type of bittul. Now that's, we have to say, the Rulai ain't a kavona do kolkach dinim from Toyu, because Toyu was only what it was a shvira. And one mera deal is not nimshik kolkach b'biyah. It's only kitasiyon what it means by saying the shel ma'il me'atzilas. L'chora we mean akudim and ak, the inonim which are al derech how do you might put the tzafui, what we can assume is going to be the whole Seder. Toyu is a bilti Seder legam. Toyu is l'chera nit in them. Kein yesh lema b'derech efshar. In other words, that the Amshach is from order from Akudim, order from Ak. And like the Alter is Masbi in the famous Igeres in chapter 20, that Ragli Ak nimtsoim be Asiya Kemoy Lamaila, Ak is just nimsha b'kol mokim. So Rebbe puts in brackets now, V'hainu she'ef shaliyesh begilu b'biyah kemoy ba'atzilas. It's able for it to be begoli b'biyah, kemoy ba'atzilas. In other words, that the oil Lamaila me'atzilas can also be begoli ba'atzilas. Lamalo. But then it's gilu in atzilas and it's gilu in biyah are all one and the same thing. Mashik, in the way the earth comes be slapshus ba'atzilas, then it's a chilling between atzilas and biyah. Mashenkin oyer ha'atzilas, but the oyer ha'atzilas greater, b'kdei sheyeh gilu b'biyah, tzarich liya is davke alei the gilu oyer elyon shelamayla me'atzilas u'biyah. In other words, if you want atzilas to come down b'golui k'mo shehu, b'li that ha'ora alei the Hagbola of the Kli, then you got to have a oyer elyon, which is lamayla me'abiyah v'atzilas gam yachad, and that has to be poil in the inyan of atzilas, that it should be yoyred b'kvoidi or b'atzmei into the inyan of that. So what do we have to say? How does that relate to the oil which we just were talking about? We said there's a oil lamayla me'atzilas, that it touch miskal in atzilas, and its gili everywhere is the same. Mashenken, he said oil atzilas is dafke alei the gilu elyon shelamayla me'atzilas. Or k'may ubiyah. Or k'may shkos mochim acher in kriyas yamsu. Shohoyer chibu atzilas ubiyah. What does that mean? That atzilas was mamish nimshach into biyah, will it one loshen, or according to another loshen that biyah was oile and dovak in atzilah, but gabi in yonenu it's the same. Inyan shahoyo alidei haruach kodim davke. What's brought down that the ruach kadim, or that tremendously powerful east wind that kept blowing against the water the whole time, or that was mi kadmoino shel oilom. In other words, from a oyer elyon b'yosel lamayla gam me'atzilas ubiyah gam yachad. And so then he goes on to say that that's poil habitl b'biyah b'chinas bitl mahu. So that's poil in etzem pintel rein. Das geht rein, mamish in the, as you might say, in the pupik that goes into the tummy, and this is poil habitl be'etzem mahuz. So also k'tas tzorikiyim, what oyer is that? Is that this oyer that we said that, is shovet b'atzilas and biyah everywhere? Or is it maybe something even higher than that? Yes, it's nicht mugda kolkach. We have to say that maybe we could say it's the same oyer, but maybe we'd say the difference is that what he said in the brackets, that it can be in gilui b'biyah kamoy b'atzilas, Yeah, that means Gilui, but not what you might call Gilui b'derech pu'ula v'hechreach. It's Galui dort, something similar to what we say that Teves is nimshach b'kol mokim. Yeah, it's nimshach, אפילו בפנימיות, אבל בלי הספיילers. אומר, it's בכל מוקים באיזה האבן. אומר, since these areas are מקיפים לגבי הצילס, הוא אומר, זה נמצא בכל מוקים דוד. מה שכן, what he says, ממש in the next couple of sentences, he says that it can be a chibur of Tzilas b'yad yedei ha'erelion, what's going on and what happens. So we have to say that maybe that's the purest, that comes with a kavana, tafki ufton in Atzilus. In other words, that you can be a machiv and you can be even begoloi, but you're not necessarily misasik with the union. Machine, if you come and you're an erelion and you come tafki al manas, if it's to ufton, then you can force in yonim. You might call you can stuppen in yonim, which are not there, but they're harogil. And that's all very vidina from le'elam yul meidorim b'mokim shali b'chlofeit. Awuz do opinimistic rotzen, a starke rotzen, but that rotzen prods and pumps at the koiches agiluyim, and he all the time is hammering with that rotzen as avil and avil. Yes, so he's able to be masik in yonim, but also the pneumias that he wouldn't have done but a harogil. Mashenkin, he said, look, he likes high things and he likes learning, but he doesn't actually pump with the rotzen. Then he's got a nice rotzen, he has good feelings, he's got good tainum talin on him. But where he does it with tainum, he wants that tafkid to be poyel, and that should be makriach on him. That's another matter. And we have to say that that's nimshach alidei what's called in Chassidus das nela. That's when you really makusha to the inyonim behem islamite. Well, then you can bring a gilui of the rotzen, even that it's puyo shinui. Auch upon him, or that oyer, what he's nimshach b'biyah, pink to say v'yinat silas, then he's puyo a bitl b'mahus. Ein van a shinui in the etzem mahus of the nira. So now the from mahus. Well, that means that he just becomes completely and utterly ois. He becomes completely and utterly bottle legami to elikus. It's interesting to be easy madregazu. Is that child to say anything like that about a beinoni, or is that already been goyvel in yonim nailim biyos? For hemshach advorim, it's not mashma. That there can be a bitl b'mahus, afilu b'anoshim regilim, afilu keino. V'yesh lema, that davke because it's a Indian makiv, even in the Aveda dimension, Rusa the Liba, Sokos of the makiv, it ever maybe ulai efshe, me kan sagen that it's alternative with the Russish Yidden when they came out of Russia. They timed it, they got into the Medina's so-called Arvocha, that they couldn't sort of understand, what sort of a leaven it is. Then they felt that they were kuliyud mi madrigoso. And so the Rebbe once spoke about it, that they have to say, the Pasuk in Tehillim, Kain b'kodesh chazisicha. We should see you in the kodesh, just like we saw you over there. They have to say that b'kavana, you say. Talking with the starke kavana. In other words, that it's possible, for a mensch to hold by a certain bittul, which is mamish ois legamri. He's absolutely given away to Rotz and Havaya, and he doesn't reckon with anything. And nishman mitziyusay nishman gorn is. But it's not a teacher that's been mishane him mamish durch and durch. The alien chapt him. Or the teacher that he's mamish or andere mention in the sense that he's bottled and cheese like Amri Lelakus. Well, that's a taddy. That's what he goyhol or inyonim nailim mei. But upon him, that can be pure a bitl b'mahus ayinim. וכנגד בעניין כל אשר חופץ השם עושה, שזהו לי יש הביטל באילמס. אך המשקוס בתורה דיבר מסכם מזוזה מין, והכוונה שם על הביטל במהוס היש. שהרי, הרענו את, גם האור דבחינס דבר השם, פועל גם כן הביטל בהנברא. ועניין הצורה שמבחינת חפץ השם, הוא ליש הביטל בעצם המהות. כמו שקוס מוקים אחר. There's a very fascinating Indian over there in that Maimah, but it's really brought becoming Mekimus into this. But yesh lema, like the Sefer Torah, sometimes the Lashonis are very makutza, and they're very sort of, they have a certain boomkeit in them, some of the Lashonis in Torah. They're very sort of like, stark to the zach, on Chochmas. And if even though that in is Mavuya, that's written sort of rather briefly but sharply. And that is, we have two psukim. One pasuk says, Bidvar Hashem Shomayim Nasu, V'ruach Piv Kol. In other words, that the Shomayim V'oros, they come from Dibur. Or Dibur. And Ruach Piv, V'inyan, Pachot the same. And then we have a pasuk, Kol Asher Chofetz Hashem, also B'Shomayim over. So we see that that's also Shemayim V'oros, so it's Kol Asher Chofetz Hashem also. So Chassidus says two inyanim. That the inyan from Dibur, the etum inyan of the Oisius, Dibur, later on in that one we get onto the Oisius, briefly. The etum Oisius of Dibur, they bring about a Metzias, just like Dibur creates a Metzias of Oisius, and those Oisius are Mahava, a certain inyan. Like it's brought down on the Gemara, you got to be careful what you say, because you can actually cause a Metzias to be, Rahman Atlan. You have to be very careful. Therefore, you say sometimes when you're talking, you say shouldn't damage anybody, shouldn't hurt, because even if a dibur is a dover and habayis a matthias is ve'ilu the inyan from rotzen or a kuya klali. So he said, when you get to the nivra, that's two inyanim. There's the etim, what you might call uhus, the nivra, he becomes a yesh, he becomes a inyan. Kilu b'shnei atzmei, chutz from Elokus, and then there's the idea of what the Elokus will for them. What does Elokus really want from him? And that what he really wants from him is, oddly enough, becomes what you call his tzura. In other words, his shape and the way he looks. That's what Elokus really wants from him. So, of course, so. It's a very fascinating Indian, lakwe v'lidorish b'zeh, that what the Aves really wants of you is noticeable in your shape. I think from them Lashon, and therefore, Bnei Adam are built. They're called in the mission in Woodus in Tamura. I think the Woodus in Tamura. The Mishnah calls a mensch a Mahalach Shtayim. Calls the animals Mahalach Arba, and a mensch is called a Hilach Shtayim, a Mahalach Shtayim. In other words, a man goes on 2 feet. He's an upright being, and therefore, like the Alter Rebbe said, he can look up at the heavens. It hurts his neck a bit, but he can look at the heavens. He can spend his whole day looking at the heavens if he wants. An animal, his cup is all more off. His cup is all more in the grass. If he looks up the heavens, if he did that too much, he'd be ois behema. He would just stop being a behema. You got to be careful not to look down into the grass. You got to look up the whole time. A mensch is created in such a way that he can look at the heavens, he can talk about the heavens, and he's a mahalach shtayim. He's aimed of shnei raglayim v'roishei kilo l'mayla. So we see that the tzura plays a tremendous part in the mensch. And then there's the tzura's kleis tahapon. They had some features of the mensch, but the tzura that they have is very hard to describe exactly, because it's like it's an inyan klali, it's an inyan from those wilmen from them mensch. What he's all about is noticeable to Mevina Dora, of him and Misaviv. And the same with, behemoths, their tzura is to a certain extent Makala, what they have to really want of them. Behemoth walks on 4 feet, he wants him to schlep things, he wants him to do it, he wants him to take a needle, so he'll be a good behemoth. None of those in Yonim, and yes, lachwe of liderish bezer habe mei, and birds, there's some other type of, they fly and they have different abilities. they are representative, and they have in themselves dugmois, of nishomas, and noch. So I mean, everything's got a certain surah, which is malamed of what the Eivshter will from them. What you will from them? Mahu so mahu ratza. That's what the Alter Rebbe says over there. On that surah, if you come to realize what is be'emes, the Pa'ura, a Rotzen, Hashem in you, you come to the Chayfetz, Havaya, then you become bottled with Mahus. That's what the Alter Rebbe says. You just lose your whole normal Gestell, and you just give yourself away to Rotzen. In other words, that if we were just to be misboinen, then why are we standing on 2 feet? And for what's over me a cop, and for what's over me, eyes, what's doing with our board, what is it? And a mensch would really be, would be massing that. He'd be bottled to the Eivshter. He'd give himself away again. That's a pity gesagt. When you think about it, it's mamish. The other night, I was sitting here in a shiur, and one of the Bochum said something, and it just gave me a zet. I'd probably been aware of that all my life, but I never realized, takeza, and it really had quite a profound effect on me. That he said that if you see a jungle, and you see millions of blades of grass, vegetation galore, mamish laid on. If you take every leaf in that vegetation, and you examine it properly, botanically or it was, that one is not the same as the other. There's not one thing which is bedimien afil to the other. They're all shoinim betachas ashinui. And I must admit, I probably knew that sometime. Maybe I heard it, but that gave me a set. That it's so unbelievable. We just, we walk on these pieces of stone, for example. Who knows what the hell is in all these stones? What they're made of, and what's it, all the different cells, and it's unbelievable when you're waiting, but even kosher. And then you come to a higher, there's a tzura in that, and that tzura is mevatech chayfet. What did the Eivshter really want with that? What's what they gewollt? Yeah. Or that's an andere Indian altogether. If you were to really be kochen, just in your tzura, wie says to us, and favuas, then you would have a bit in your mahus. You wouldn't be the way you normally are. Because you wouldn't just say, I was made to polish off cream cakes or something. Because, you'd be eating a cream cake, and you say, wait a minute, my tzura is different. Maybe the Eivshter really meant something else, and you just would leave things behind. You wouldn't have any shaykhs. I'm a man. I'm a Adam. So it sounds balabatish, but it's not. As they state dort in the Bible.
Why in all the Bria everything is different?
Huh?
Why in all the Bria everything is different?
Yeah.
But why?
I don't know. But what I'm saying is, we see the unbelievable pele in the Bria. And if it's kach, there's a similar the Eivshter wants from every blade. He has another shlichus, another inen. Efes will from them. Otherwise, just make them all the same. That's the pshat, that the tzura is different. I saw a most amazing thing the other night. I just happened to look over the shoulder of my Einigal, my female Einigal, that she learns now in Beis Rivka. The Rivka's daughter, Pnina. And she was hammering away there in English. She was trying to sort out words in her text. And I read the text. You know what was written there? I just misspellings there. Well, these dolphins, these mammals that are called dolphins, they're amazing creatures. Everybody knew they were amazing before this. But now they found out that if you have people who are, in Islam, incapable, people who are maimed and all that, if you get them friendly with dolphins and then you put them in the water and you allow them to swim around where the dolphins are swimming and let the dolphins touch them, they can heal them. Yeah, and they've got in 2 or 3 places in America, they've got what they call dolphin healing centers. Yeah, and they tell a story there about a child that he was dumb from birth. He couldn't talk. He never said a word in his whole fly. And they heard about this dolphin thing. They came and they bought him, and he wanted to go in the water and play with the dolphins. And after about 2 or 3 times that he played in the water and the dolphins touched him, brushing past him and that, and he played with them in the water, he got out and he stood on the bank, and then they said, no, that's enough for today. And he pointed at the water and he said, in. All of a sudden he said a word, the first word he'd ever said in his life. He said, in. He wants to go back into the water. And now he's on the way to, he's in special therapy now, and they're developing his speech, and they hope that eventually he'll be able to talk, maybe not with Tachlis Ashleim, but he'll be able to talk. As he stayed she's fishing around and just looking for words, tell me this word, write down that word. I said, do you realize what's written here? I mean, do you know what you're actually reading? I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's written in this text that there's several of these centers have been opened in America, and they're having amazing hashpah. It's amazing. Everything has got a rotten. Everything's got a rotten. It's true. And it occurred to me that they sort of jump up in on it and they go down. They've got this thing of elevation of the self, and the whole manas, al-manas, to bring gracefulness and tainug into the bria. Leviyosan, yotzata l'sachik boi, ayin from tainug. Kaviyach. That surah as a goodness be etzem. I was very impressed by that. Because things like that, I hope you understand certain nakudas. That's what's written over there in Torah. Over there it's written that the surah of everything is Megala the Rotzen, V'zeh Megala Abitel Shalei. So we come to the fishing with the water. How does the dolphin come to the water? Does it the surah and does it the Rotzen? You become bottled to the Rotzen. This poyer in the Abitel. Where the teaches poyer in the Abitel? You just walk around the whole life with your children. Where's the bittel? You need a certain kesher with them. If you make this bonin, so yemotos to the bittel. Alidei children. Amamir says the Rebbe, that's poyer bittel b'mahusage. That's what's written over there. If you get to that Indian, you lose your whole normal status in the world. You don't just walk around a self-interested individual looking for your own little, shtickle. But you become somebody who's devoted. What am I all about? What is my chayfet? What's the Teves gewollt for me? Ma'urata. And you come to the conclusion that since I don't look like Pliny, I must have a special in what the Teves wanted of me. And he doesn't look like me because the Teves will for him ayach. Or will for him mashu acher. Another rotz nifla. And if you have that, you say, I have to start all over again. I've got to write off my old life. I've got to start all over again. Very good. I don't know. Maybe I just about. For some reason, I feel his pilots with those sort of. Anyway, we just shared it together for a bit. She said, "Sharigam." He said, "Come on, sham a beetle b'mahu sayesh. Sharigam ha'ora debchinas dvar Hashem. That's dibur poyo gam kein a beetle b'anivra. But that's a binya from beetle hayeh. You just know that you're created. Okay, you're created. Shalom aleichem. That's also poyo a beetle. Of a beetle, Tzura is what you're looking to really carry out your Emes HaKavona. Ve'in en Tzura, shemebchinas chayfetz Hashem, huli is a beetle be'etzem amus, k'may shkalt mochen nachher. V'hainu, mimnei sha'er, hu l'mayla mi'slabses be'kelim, ve'ena b'chinas tefisa, al keinu nimshach u'meya b'kol, mokim. In other words, that chayfetz, or that surah, what the aims to put in you, and that's your ultimate tachlis meeting, or that comes from the aims that he's built him up. This is MVR l'mayla mi'kol, and dit is what. Everything can be different. Every little blade of glass is Hashem. I remember in Australia there used to be these bull ants, You also see thousands of these ants crawling all over the place. Yeah? You got to keep out of the way. They're a little bit nasty if they get you. And nonetheless, we say that every one of them is another barrier altogether. He's Ayin b'Teves. In other words, that every little ant has also got some meaning what the Eibishter will for them. The will, as all pearls on after somehow. And when Moshiach had come in, it was we have to have some sort of a music, a decent in your. And the Rizal was very machmir, never to kill anything. As he stated in Kisvei Rizal, you should never kill another barrier, no matter what it is. Ela im kein, it's muchach, that it's a dover hamazik. Atzim mit lahazik, or tcha, or asviva hakoriv, then you're allowed to maybe consider killing it. Aber stank here, the state of the, I forget what it was, of the, zijn van de enigel van de heilige Ruzna, een van de Sarigura, or the Husiaten, I don't know who he was. And he said that after a lot of Aveda, he came to the conclusion that his in is that he will never be mazik any barrier. He'll never be mazik anything. One of his whole inyanim in the world, not to be mazik anything. He said a few of Goya, they state that he wouldn't be mazik anything. So this question, if he was being attacked by a Hamas or something like that, was it at that time? Islam was Shnei Dvarim. All of the Teves would never bring that to him. Or Beis, yeah, he would just take one look at the Hamas and he would fall anyway. Below he fell away. Yeah. Sipurim Ke'ela. I mean, Rabbi Chanina ben Doisa put his heel over the hole and the Gemara Masechta Taina, and the snake bit him. So who died? The snake died. I stated in the Gemara. You remember, he was someone as our target that if anybody would have wanted to be mazik him, they would have got this up. Anyway, there you go. So he says, כמוי קין בעבודה שבשעת התפילה הרי הוא מזבין בלכוס ומספר בעבר ועיר רק התפילה מסערים ג'מי ולא נשאר רק ג'מי והוא המייס בפועל ממש במצווס מייס very good. After davening you become very mahader in mitzvahs. Yeah, maiz, so we'll hold there. We won't say anything in the coming sentence because we don't want to say anything that might be slightly disappointing at the end of this particular class, or any class for that matter, because we want to be mamshing only Teva, the chesed of Yidden Jetzt, and the Eibishter will bring Moshiach. All the other masters forget about it. Ja, Teves zogen dat ze in der zat en der zat met de zee machen, forget it. God, only Moshiach. I mean, you just see what unbelievable confusion they're getting themselves into. Just unbelievable. It's the old classical case of I told you so. I mean, they knew years ago that this would eventually come out of the whole thing. After it became I remember when the Peres of Gishin, Azot Chila, was his idea. And I remember somebody asked me, this. So I said, Azot Chila's Kolatores. So I shouldn't have said it.